Well, hey there, and welcome to episode 46 of the Dodgeball Marketing Podcast. I'm Chris.
Hey, I'm Michael.
Why did I do that?
I think you should point to yourself.
If you're watching on video,
yeah,
just don't watch it on video on YouTube.
We're here.
Actually, do watch on video
Friday.
and subscribe and hit the like button. Subscribe all there. All right, Michael. We're going to do a whole episode here on website usability. Frankly, we could do like 13 episodes on this because it's such a huge topic about how users come to your website, how you help them get where they're going. Website usability. I love this topic. So today we're going to give you 5 ways that you can make your website more usable. I love talking about this. Michael, let's have you do the first one.
Let's talk about the top nav. So your top nav, we really like a header where logos on the left, some little call to action stuff, and forms of contact are on the right. And then right in the middle, you've got that main top nav. And then often you need a little bit more structure than just, say, 5 or 6 links. So a drop-down menu is a good thing. And then lately, what we've been doing to make it more visually pleasing is letting drop-downs have some sort of visual component. Now, I would avoid these days having 3 levels in a drop-down. Years ago, that was pretty common. I would say in the early days of people figuring out the navigation of the website, they thought that maybe that navigation was going to include all the pages on the website. And that's really not the case. What the top nav needs to be is give enough real estate and weight to the most important things.
Yep.
So typically for any kind of services website or any kind of patient-oriented medical website, like if you look at a website like VanguardDermatology.com, you'll see things that are simple and clear, and where it's needed, there'll be drop-down menus. And in this case of this site, I'm looking at Chris's screen here, we have a little arrow pointed down to let you know and give you a little visual cue, and clue that there is more under there. And in this site, we don't have a lot of visual elements in that drop-down, but a lot of what people are going to create a little bit of a richer experience is in a drop-down, having maybe an image and text that both reinforce one another for each item in the drop-down. And a lot of times we're doing those now where the drop-down is kind of a left to right or vertical based on whether they're on a desktop or a mobile device. But you don't want to overthink this. If you have more than 20 things or 30 things people can do in the entire top nav with all the drop-downs, that's probably too many. You really want to have, well, I don't know, that might be actually about right, but you want to have maybe 5 to 6 items in your top nav and maybe 3 to 5 items in each drop-down. So that could top out at 30. But
you've got 4 stickies here, 4 kind of stickies at the very top.
Yeah, and that's how we're cheating in kind of a little super nav above that is like, hey, if you absolutely have to come here to go to the same place over and over to get medical records or a payment button.
Payment is a big one.
You can work that in as either a sticky tab set. I would call that a tab set because of the way it looks visually. But there are ways to kind of do that and get it out of the top nav. Top nav is really that area where people are hunting if they're there for the first time and they're not going to do something that they do for some reason every day.
Yeah, I like how that's laid out. That's good.
Yeah, so that's a good top nav, VanguardDermatology.com in New York.
Yeah. Okay, second, is there enough homepage content? So there's two or three things I'll say about this. One, do you have a headline that sort of encapsulates what you do and your unique value proposition? So that's kind of like your first level. And then 2, in terms of enough homepage content, what you want to do is think of the most common things that people are going to want to go to on your site. So if you're an e-commerce store, it's probably going to be categories. If you have a lot of different category pages. If you're a local service business, it's probably going to be your services. If you have a lot of services, maybe your top 3 services or your top 3 categories of service, right? So do you have a doorway? So if somebody can go to your website and number 1 say, what do you do? What makes you different? What's your unique value proposition? So that's in your hero section. And then 2, and I would throw in there, is there a way to take the next step? Is there a contact? Is there a contact form? Is there a phone number? Is there a way that people go like, I'm interested. What do I do next?
Yeah, and even telling them to do it next. Call us now.
Call to action. And then 3 is, can you go to your homepage and get an overview of everything that you do, all the ways that you can help them. So for most, that's either categories of product or categories of service or individual services if you have a small number of services. And then thirdly, I would say from a keyword perspective, are there the main keywords that are associated with your overall business? So not your services, but your overall business. Are those present on your homepage?
Yeah.
If you've checked all those boxes, it's sometimes it's not necessary to include, like the blog roll, the latest post. Maybe if you're a more editorial site.
Or maybe if you have a good strategy for including SEO in that content. Yeah.
Maybe. But most of the time, you just have to think about where are the people going to want to gravitate most. And it depends on what kind of business you run, right? Yeah. And then make sure that all of that is present. And if it's present and you've got your primary call to action, your primary unique selling point, call to action, that's a good homepage.
Yeah. And you can merge categories to sort of editorially clean up. If you have a section that is sort of a call to action or a benefits-oriented section, you have a separate section that's like about us or the history of the company. Maybe those could be merged. Maybe sharing a little bit of the history in the set of benefits, sort of like, hey, here's where we're coming from. We do these 3 things really well because we have been in this industry for 28 years. Those are ways to kind of merge those sections and make editorial choices so that the user, when they get there, they're faced with a really simple set of basics. Is this does this company do what I need? Is it a credible company? What do I do to use their services? Right. So if you cover those 3 things as cleanly and powerfully as you can, but have a substantial enough amount of content to communicate what you need to around those ideas, that's going to be a good homepage.
That's good. Michael, you got the next one on credibility.
Yeah. So does the website establish credibility? So let's dive into that a little bit more. One of the things, I came from the world of e-commerce and managing marketing into an e-commerce site that was essentially a $25 million a year e-commerce engine. And one of the things that we tested and found was that we could add credibility badges about secure checkout below the buy buttons, and that would help increase the conversion rate of someone on that page becoming actually buying and becoming a customer. That really applies to an entire website. And there's some other ways that it can happen, not just badges. But you can think about where to place these, and some areas where I like to see this sort of content is, number one, below or around any sort of thing where you're asking for private information. Like name, phone number, email. They're giving something. They need to kind of know that there's some trust, at least going to the effort to say, hey, you can trust us, Stripe Secure Checkout, or Angie's List Award winner. Whatever that credibility is there around the ask for personal information, typically in a succinct badge type format, or a badge with a statement like, we will not share your information, that can establish a lot of credibility of like, okay, this is a real thing. They're established, they're connected. Another place that a credibility item, first let's talk about what the credibility items are. It could be badges and awards. It could be SSL certificate.
And, I was going to add that one.
Yeah, and things that state the security of your website. It could also be testimonials. And if I didn't say it, awards that you've received.
And I would add, too, this is more aesthetic and more qualitative, but overall design aesthetic. Does your website look as though it was designed in the last 2 to 3 years?
Right. Does it look and feel credible?
Or does it look old and dated and stale? That communicates credibility. If it looks like it was designed in 2005, it's going to lower your credibility with users.
And if you have that kind of fresh design and you're thinking about the places that you're asking for information, you can create a very comfortable environment for people to share that. Another place is maybe having a block on the homepage that establishes you and shows some of those credentials, and is essentially the trophy case for your company, and show those credentials in a succinct way. And more is not always better. I think it's okay to have, what do you think, like 3 to 5 at the most, 3 of the 5 of the most current.
What I've seen is like a lot of people like to show their media mentions or press or used by companies. So like a lot of software companies like to say, oh, this is used by Nike or whatever. Keeping those to 3 to 5. Yeah. If you do like 10, it almost becomes, it's too cluttery, one, and it's almost like not believable. There's something about that 5 that's like, it's enough.
Yeah,
but then and then any more, it's like it doesn't make you pay attention or something.
That's right.
Yeah.
And another piece is testimonials. I really like really short testimonials where possible with a picture of a person, just a real human.
And if they'll let you use their name or first name?
Even if it's Robin J. from Brentwood, Tennessee.
The picture is
worth $1 million. But
got to get permission.
Get permission before you put your customer's information on your website. But having a few of those is good. You don't need big blocks of text that go into nuanced detail about their satisfaction, but you need quick little hits that show credibility.
Yeah, that's great.
So testimonials, badges, awards and recognition shown around areas where you're asking for information, and then in basic areas like the homepage. And then maybe if you have something that's just a really big deal, also throw that image in the footer and just have it there.
Yeah, great. Number 4 here, making your website more usable. Are there pages for your major services? So one thing about usability, people are going to have the question when they come to your website, especially local businesses, is what do you do? Can you solve my problem?
Yes.
Right? And they're going to be looking for what types of services you offer and see if that matches up with their problem. And so service page, we've done whole episodes on service pages, right? So having those service pages, and then I would also add a layer onto that and having sub-service pages attached to your service pages. So my company used to be primarily video production. We do more digital advertising now, but I used to create sub-service pages for conference video production. So in Nashville, which is where we are, a lot of conferences happen. We have a big conference center, a convention center, and so we would actually get traffic and leads externally from other localities that were searching for Nashville conference video production. And so we built a page that was all about like filming your breakout sessions and making sizzle reels for your conference, and a little contact form like get a conference video quote. And so all that to say, primary service pages, but don't forget about sub-service pages that people are going to find inbound organically for things that maybe you'll get. Maybe there's a handful of searches per year on, but when they search for it, they're going to find, and you're going to match up exactly.
Exactly, it's high value, small volume,
niche,
high value.
Niche, there's nothing that's really too niche because there's somebody out there searching for it, and if you sell one thing, it pays for the time it took to make that sub-service page. So
that's right.
That's what I'll cover on. Are there pages for major services in terms of usability?
Yeah. It's not really adequate to just have a services page and list your services. You really need standalone supporting pages for your website for SEO and for the user for each of your major services.
Yeah.
Good. Next up, and we'll wrap up with this: do the key pages on your website communicate well? Every page on your website is a standalone exchange between you and the audience. They're giving you their time, and you've got to give them something that meets their need. They're trying to solve a problem. They're not there because they like looking at websites typically. They're there because they're trying to solve some problem in their life. And so you have to, number one, just say what you do.
Don't make them think. We're gonna tell you.
And then go ahead and suggest this.
So all the stuff we're talking about is basically kind of secondhand information from people that are really knowledgeable of this. If you want to read a really great book about web usability, go to Amazon and get Don't Make Me Think by Steve Krug. Don't Make Me Think. This is like the preeminent book on web usability. I think it's like required reading for anyone who's building websites or doing advertising or anything web related. Don't Make Me Think. So it'll cover a lot of the stuff that we've talked about. But that's my pitch.
Yeah, totally. So what do you do? How do you like to do it? How does it work? What can someone expect if they make contact with you, either phone or form? What happens next? What's the process? And then don't forget that they don't know what you know. You may know that estimates are free. There may be folks out there who are kind of nervous about making contact because they might think that as soon as they're in touch with you, the clock's running and they owe you money. So you need to use words like get a free estimate or a no risk, no free proposal.
Or free trial. I see SaaS businesses do this. Free trial, no credit card required.
Yeah, no
That's
credit
a
card
big
required
one.
is a big one because they're saying, I don't want to get my credit card in. It always gets hit if I forget to cancel, if I don't have time after I look at this thing. And so no credit card required is lowering the threat level with microcopy. And so having content on your page and visuals that communicate the most important information. And here's my suggestion. Whatever it is, design your web page, whatever you think it is, and then put it away and then come back to it and take a big step back, almost like you don't know what web pages are. Like, just assume the user is not as knowledgeable. Assume they're one step removed from knowledge about the subject matter than you think they are. It's better to start simple and get them oriented rather than make assumptions. If you have certain products that you're using or certain approaches and techniques that you offer that you think are a given, assume that it's possible someone would be there who's tasked with collecting information for someone else or getting a rough list of potential companies to provide services. And maybe they're more of in an administrative role and they don't know exactly all the details of the choices of products that you can make available to solve their problem. So whatever is your web page, take a step back and kind of use language that orients people to what you're going to talk about and why. And this doesn't mean more content. This means starting in a way that's a little bit more universal and doesn't assume that they know the inside language and the lingo of your services and of your category. They may not know the differences between two types of lasers for skin treatment. You have to educate them in that content. Yep. So do your pages communicate well, or do they fall into the trap of assuming too much?
Yep.
That's good. I don't know who opened this one, but thank you. This has been episode 46 of the Dodgeball Marketing Podcast. Please check us out on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and LinkedIn. I'd really love for folks to follow us and subscribe on YouTube to get new clips and episodes and playlists as they come out.
I think we have a MySpace, right?
We have a MySpace and
a Friendster,
and soon we'll have. I don't know. We did not have a MySpace. I was going to accidentally out a client of ours that just bought an app that was popular 10 years ago and that is coming back, but we're not ready to share that information.
Does Justin Timberlake still own part of MySpace?
I bet he's got to. Yeah, sure.
I think, doesn't he?
Oh.
Okay, no, but
so.
I already did.
Thanks,
probably
everybody.
just
We'll see you on the next
everyone.
one.
Okay.